This week on BowieTV's Youth, Community, and Lifestyle episode, Washington Commanders and Washington legend Darrell Green teams up with the D.C. Housing Authority for a youth football clinic at Benning Terrace. Then we bring it home to Prince George's County, where Bowie native and NFL Rams cornerback Josh Wallace hosts his own camp. We visit Heather Hills Elementary for highlights from their vibrant STEAM festival. On the Spotlight DMV, Barbara shares how her global leadership program is changing lives. Simply Bowie Magazine asks, should you buy a house during a recession? G. Marie returns with part 2 of the 90-degree haircut. Homes of Color explores African art's place in the heart of America. And Lady Nighthawk breaks down smart 401k move. All that and more right here on BowieTV.
What's that shirt?
Small. Thank you.
That's where you need to go.
26. Come on. 27. Okay. Come on. Oh my God. 28. Hey. Give me a 30. Give me a 30. 29. One more. Okay.
I'm excited for you guys to be here for my first time, and we're gonna have a great time.
Why would you bring your water bottle?
We'll make adjustments with the numbers once we get them onto the field. Green on the first home. Purple bracelets, purple love that. split purple into two groups on the first. Purple is going to be split into two groups, 3 and 4. Blue is 2. Purple is 3 and 4.
Hey, bro, don't bet your knees.
Hey. Woo! Dang, bro. Huh? You too cool?
Hey, Paul.
Nah, I watched this one. All right.
I'm doing it with you. They get ready to work today. Pause behind you.
That's how far back you can go. 4, 5, 6. Hey. Woo! Okay, I heard you that time.
Next up, top. Hey, all we gonna do is gonna be right here and play. We going for time. We going for time.
I got your time.
Warm up. Let your arms drop. Minute 10, keep your arm.
Good. Stay on this side. Stay on this side. There we go. There we go. Hey, two back. Two back.
This is Candy Waller from BowieTV, checking in right in our backyard at Heather Hills Elementary School in Bowie, Maryland. I have the pleasure of sitting here with Principal Dr. Shanina Holland. They're having their STEM Fair Expo today with many great organizations and leaders. STEAM Your Dreams is here, USDA, Microsoft, Google, Howard University School of Medicine, and it has just been a phenomenal environment. Dr. Holland, how are you doing?
I am so excited today to give our students the exposure to various disciplines in science, and just to partner with various community organizations, as well as our parents right here at Heather Hills Elementary School.
Yes, I've seen some parents come through and they're excited and they're volunteering. The energy here is amazing with the students. They were so engaged this morning. So just share a bit about your background and just your overall approach to STEM. I was told this is kind of like where the idea came from.
So this is the third annual STEM Expo here at Heather Hills. I'm the new principal here at Heather Hills, and I wanted to continue the legacy of exposure to the various disciplines in science while as a new lead learner here. My particular background is in research and education, and I just know that the benefit of early exposure to various areas and professions allow students to have choice as they navigate through life and begin to think about the high school specialty programs as well as college.
So if you, because I know talking to some of your staff, they were saying, Dr. Holland is getting it done. I was like, okay, we can come back. We can keep covering the event. We can come back. And he said, no, let's get it done. So can you share a bit about your approach to leadership at the school?
Yeah, so I believe in distributive leadership. This is something, as I shared earlier, that it was new in terms of me being a part of, but just really just leaning on my team to be able to help facilitate great big things as what's happening here today. And I couldn't do it without my great team behind me. So I'm excited of just us collaborating. Collaboration is an important approach in my leadership, as well as trusting the people I work with to be able to make sound decisions in my absence based on what drives me and what my core focus is, which is students are challenged and loved every single day, sprinkled in that, and being able to set the stage for that.
So you just mentioned this is your first year here as the principal at Heather Hills. So can you share a bit more about your background?
Yeah, so this is my fourth year serving as a principal here in Prince George's County Public Schools. I've had the opportunity to serve in various school settings within our county. So, and that includes Title I schools as well as community schools, high ESOL population schools, as well as now specialty schools serving talented and gifted students. So I'm really excited to be able to serve in a space where a lot of my research on gifted and talented students can actually be implemented. And one of the things the research shows is giving students experiences and choice and opportunities enriches their experiences. So today is an example of one of those extensions from science and math and art that we get to see come alive. So that's a little bit of my background. I'm a native Philadelphian, but I'm happy to be here in the DMV and serving in an urban school district.
So thank you so much, Principal Dr. Chadina Holland. I was like, she has so many titles. This is amazing. Love what you're doing here. Thank you all, Bowie TV watchers, for tuning in. This is us checking in from in the community, from Bowie and around and beyond. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your time again, and we'll be talking to you all again soon.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Spotlight DMV, where we shine a light on the people and programs making an impact right here in Prince George's County and across the DMV. Before we dive in, I want to give a huge shout out to Mixed Food Hall for being our space sponsor today. Thank you for supporting local storytelling and creating a space where conversations like these can happen. Now, on to today's guest. She is someone who believes in leadership and that it does not start with a title, it starts with exposure, with perspective, and sometimes that perspective comes from stepping on a plane for the very first time. Barbara Cole is a retired Navy officer and the founder of Going Global with Barbara, an educational travel company that helps students explore the world, grow as leaders, and see their place in it. This month, we're in April, Barbara's going to be taking her 100th trip abroad. And today we're going to be talking about how she got here with her students' experience and why global exposure is such a game changer, especially for young people of color. Barbara, welcome to the Spotlight DMV.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So listen, when we first met and you told me all about your organization, I was just so excited. You know, I believe that exposure is a huge piece to the educational ecosystem, right?
Absolutely.
And so let's start from the beginning. You served in the Navy.
I did. I was in the Navy for 25 years and traveled all over the world. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, and not a lot of people in my community had the opportunity to travel globally, but I always knew that that's something that I wanted to do, so the Navy helped me do that.
So how did that shape your passion for travel and ultimately lead to going global with Barbara?
So I got to see the transformational power of travel. I got to see how young people like me were working and visiting countries all over the world and learning through those experiences. And while I was out there having those experiences, the only thing that I could think of is how I wanted my friends back home to be able to see the same things.
Yeah.
So fast forward many years later, I started going global. I started going global with Barbara so that we could create opportunities for young people in our community to go and see the world.
So you launched Going Global with Barbara in 2019.
Yes.
And then just after that, the pandemic hit. So talk about that and how you kept things going during that time.
So our clients, we were all figuring it out during the pandemic, and I was actually living abroad in Jordan at the time. So we, all of our online preparation before the trips are online, it's online classes anyway. And so we just extended them from 6 weeks to 20 weeks. And we came up with new curriculum every week to keep our students engaged and interested in going abroad and living a life outside their communities.
Well, so you just touched on the curriculum. So talk about how the program actually works, because it's not just, you guys get together and go on a trip. You prepare the students before they even step foot on a plane.
Absolutely. So travel is a life skill. And some of us figure it out, as we become adults, but we believe that it's something that young people should know how to do.
Yes.
And so before we take them on the trip, we want them to have the opportunity to know how to research the destination and how to know the Black history of the destination, because Black history is world history. And so they can see themselves in the destination and connect to it on a deeper level. So we want to prepare students to hit the ground running as leaders, not just as travelers, but leading a group of their peers around cities that they never been to before.
I love that. And I think that is so important. I was talking to one of the parents earlier before we started recording, and she was telling me about an experience with her son, and it made me think about when I first started traveling by myself. And I was already an adult at that time. I had been on some trips with my parents, but I was never responsible for my paperwork, for planning anything, for even knowing how to navigate. So my first trip was a trip to Florida for a friend's wedding. And I didn't realize that you had to show up at the airport certain hours before boarding. So I'm like, okay, let's say the flight is at 2 o'clock. I could get there at 1:30. Man, let me tell you, homegirl almost missed that plane. I almost missed that plane, and I would not have known what to do if I missed the plane. And so that's, like you're saying, that is a life skill that will take them into their adult life, with their families and how to plan things. So let's talk about the trips, and because you do them in levels, right?
We do. So our 1.0 trip is Paris. We go to Paris because it's an amazing city to learn how to travel in. We ride public transportation. We stay residentially, not in hotels, but in apartments in residential areas. The students have to prepare their own breakfast. They have to grocery shop.
They gotta cook too.
They gotta cook. They gotta figure it out. They're learning how to figure it out. And because we work with high school students, we think this is a great time for them to have this independent opportunity to figure things out on their own. And so the 1.0 is Paris. Visit visiting colleges, and we'll talk about that more later, but visiting colleges, networking, and learning to see themselves as this kind of confident, independent person in a global setting.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say our 2.0 trip is Barcelona. We have great relationships with colleges in all of our cities, but Barcelona, believe it or not, is a little more challenging linguistically, with transportation. And so we like to provide that opportunity for the students to take what they learned in Paris and kind of take it to the next level. And then our more advanced trips are to Senegal and to Jordan.
Oh, I love that you touch on in different countries and even step foot in the motherland.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the research piece also stood out to me because it's important for you to have them research about Black history in these different countries. So like you said, they can see themselves in those countries when they're traveling. And so talk to me about the decision to have them stay in Airbnbs and not in hotels and resorts and things of that nature.
Yeah, I want students to be able to see themselves living and working in a destination. What would it look like if you lived in Paris, if you were a student here? So that's why we visit colleges and they network with students who look like them. We've met students from Prince George's County in Paris.
Oh, wow.
We've met students from Prince George's County in Barcelona. Well, you know, but they may not personally know anyone who's taken that kind of a journey, that study abroad journey, that work abroad journey. And so seeing someone that looks like them and sounds like them, that's from their community, that gets it, it's life-changing. And so we stay residentially. That's a part of it. It feels more normal.
Yeah.
We want to normalize travel and normalize living abroad. And plant those seeds so students can really visualize what that experience will be like.
And so you have a whole network of expatriates, like you mentioned, the universities, and other volunteers that help with these trips once you get to the other countries. What was that piece of it like making those connections and asking people to participate and helping to pour into the young people that are traveling?
Absolutely. So we partnered with the Wells International Foundation and Dr. Monique Wells. She's also the owner and founder of one of Paris's oldest Black history tour companies, Entree to Black Paris. We partnered with her years ago and shared our vision for what going global could be. And she came alongside us and said, absolutely, we should work together. And she opened up her Rolodex, which is extensive to us. And so we combined our contacts with her contacts across universities and industries and in the embassy in Paris to include the expat community in Paris in our mission and in our work. And the reward has just been incredible.
I love that. You know, a lot of us right now, we're in a space where we are making those connections to be able to collaborate and make movements on our own. You know, things here are not too stable. Like, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so what I love is that there are organizations like yours and like the ones that you're connected to that are opening doors, not just for us, but then those for us that are coming after us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a large community of Black expats in Paris and has always been for many, many years. We just might personally not know that, but we want our students to know that.
Welcome to the Simply Bowie Magazine show. My name is Veronica Fountain. I am the publisher of Simply Bowie Magazines that covers the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Today, I'm with a special guest today. Yes. As you know, every month I'm here in the studio highlighting business owners from all over the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, primarily the Bowie market. And we're always highlighting and focusing on our top and most notable realtors in the area. And today I am with a special guest, Aurelia Douglas, Ms. Aurelia Douglas from Porterhouse International Realty. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank
welcome.
you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. How
you.
long have you been a realtor?
I've been a realtor for 18 years.
18 years, okay, okay. That's a long time.
That is a long time.
So you've seen a lot,
I have
probably the
seen-
market
I have
crash,
seen the
and up and
history.
down.
Yes.
COVID was good and awesome. Are you primarily residential, commercial, or both?
I am primarily residential.
Okay.
I have done a couple of commercial properties, but they've been rental commercial properties.
Okay.
So I do have a little history of commercial properties as well.
You think it's going to be on a comeback, the commercial, a little bit?
Well, really, because now I do have a family member that deals with that.
Okay.
And she's actually, that's something that's history for her.
Okay.
Because of the slow, the slow market of
Right.
commercial properties.
Okay,
So,
okay. What areas do you cover the most?
I actually cover the Bowie area,
Uh-huh.
the Largo area, Mitchellville area.
Okay.
So all of those areas here in the local areas, and also in Fort Washington.
Oh, Fort Washington
So
as
yeah,
well.
so Fort Washington as well.
Okay. What do you think of that new building, new drive right now on the 301 across from Walmart? All of the new building, the new constructions that's going in, especially Six Flags is closing down.
I
New construction is
know.
going there. What do you
Yeah.
think of the market right now?
I think the market is thriving regardless
Okay.
of what we're facing, because of course we've just gotten past the pandemic,
Yes, yes.
and what actually occurred there. It took
Yeah.
about maybe 2 or 3 years before we started recovering from that. But I think it's thriving.
Yes.
It's thriving in a way that people
Okay.
are now getting back into the market. We have a couple of properties that are listed now.
Okay.
And it's taken an average of 1 to 2 weeks to actually purchase, to sell a home.
that's not
So
bad.
that's not bad at all,
1 to 2
because
weeks,
it
yeah.
really had slowed up a
Okay.
lot. But we're seeing things moving along now.
Okay. So what they're
yeah.
saying is the federal government workers are either resign, they're selling their houses, and there's more houses on the market than buyers. What is making the millennials not pounce on buying a home yet? Why are they still on the fence?
I think what it is, as you just mentioned about the fact that I think people are watching what's happening more so than being focused on their goals, their personal goals of home ownership, because as I said, I had my license for 18 years. One thing I realized, I got my license in 2007 when the market crashed.
Okay.
Okay,
So
and
you
I
came
saw a
in
lot of
tough
movement.
times. Yes.
I was encouraged to keep my license. But what I would tell anyone, I don't care what the market is or what's happening. When you have a goal to want to own a home, you have to stay focused on your goal.
Yes.
And not the situation. I have seen it come to pass, though all those things happen, and people still strive to get their home, so strive to get home ownership. So the same thing with the pandemic. I mean, it was a seller's market because a lot of people didn't want to put their property out on the market.
On the market, yes.
And they didn't want people in their homes. But as you see, there's a turn, is a very slow turn, because now we're dealing with the government and people being really skeptical as to whether they would even have their job.
Right.
And it's very, it's very important to make sure you have the income, especially if you're getting into and you're first-time home buyers. Like you said, the young generation, they're very concerned about what's happening in the market. But I would tell anyone, because of my years of experience, whether it's a seller's market, buyer's market, if you prepare for the market, most of the time it's during the worst time that you want to prepare. I can give you an example of the National Harbor, because I live right down the street from there. And when they first built those townhomes were going for $400,000 or $500,000 right after the market crash. Now, if someone was really striving to get a home, it would have been a perfect opportunity to save, because they could have taken advantage of something, a one-time situation. But because of the scare of the market crash,
Oh, the
of course,
interest rates.
one, people weren't prepared. A lot of people lost their 401k, and a lot of situations happened. But for those who strived and saved, and it's about accountability and responsibility. It's about preparation when it comes to home ownership and owning land. Because years later, now you look at those same properties and they're worth 1.2. You're talking about, you know, 3 times as much as what you could have owned if you had stayed focused and prepared.
On your goal,
and prepared on your with your goal, because things do change. Life happens.
Right.
We know that even in family issues, things that we go through in life. But one thing you want to do is keep your eyes on the prize and stay focused. It takes preparation. It takes saving. It takes working on your credit so that you can make sure you put yourself in a position. And I believe that's one of my dreams and my goals, especially for the young, to create something. I really want to create an organization where you can actually get to that level of preparation of financing, because you don't learn that. You don't learn that in school. And so it's important to catch them while they're young, so they can understand not to build all this credit and put themselves in a position where they cannot buy.
We did, it was, you buy a house, you get married, you have 2 kids, and you buy another house, and you buy a second house, and then you vacation. But the millennials are a little different.
They're a little different. And I can see why they could be discouraged, because there are things to encourage them, to put them in a position at a disadvantage. But if you're focused and if you understand, and I understand that most people are not educated and focused to understand, but if you focus and understand, you can reach that goal. It's not impossible.
And I think with the new program that you want to create,
Yes,
will help them.
I really have a vision, not only to create that, but really help the young so they can understand a lot of things about themselves, about family issues, about really recreational things, all of that together to help them build I guess the understanding of self and how important self and family.
Not only financial literacy, but self as well, because you don't learn that financial literacy, that part of it. You know, you take an algebra class in high school, calculus, but just the basics of your credit score. You know, how to save, you know, getting your emergency funds, you know, instead of now, okay, my money's all to the Beyonce concert.
There you go.
It's like, we know, let's shift some of it over here.
And you just mentioned an important thing that I thought about recently too, because another thing is, I think when we have automated things set up, we don't tend to take advantage to look back and say for instance, you have a car insurance and you automatically paying that. It could be 10 years later. You never think to go back and say, hey, where can in my budget can I tap in to save money? Because now you're on an automated system and you don't even think about the fact that you could be saving something if you check and see if the rate somewhere else,
that is so
you know, could give you a better rate to save, you know, money. So it's so many things that people don't know that we, you know, that's our job as far as a real estate agent, to really take you. We have a fiduciary duty, you know, to educate and, you know, responsibility. I know I do.
It's not just focus on, let me just close the house. But let's see exactly what type of house you can afford or get into, and let's educate. How important is it for you as a realtor to hone in on knowledge to a millennial couple? How important is it to stay on top of renewing your license or staying on top of your knowledge of the housing market?
Well, it's very important. I think especially, and I'm glad that the way it's taught in real estate, that every 2 years you have to renew your license, and you have to stay up. It's every 2 years, and you have to stay up with the standards because they're constantly changing. And it's a good thing, because the knowledge and the skills and abilities help us to help someone else that may not know. But if we're not keeping up with the laws, you know, of the land, there are things that we could be uneducated about. I want to mention one thing is, you know, because in the history of real estate, there was no buyer's agent.
Hey hair care hotties, it's your girl G Marie and welcome to another episode of The Hair Kitchen. In today's episode, I will be demonstrating a layered haircut and a set of finger waves. Stay tuned.
here with a phenomenal artist, and I would like for her to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself and her name.
Hi, my name is Janua Moja. I'm a textile artist, a mixed media artist, a cultural arts activist is what my work is about. And Janua was a name that I took on, or that was given to me over about 50 years now, over 50 years actually. But I saw that I needed to change my name legally, and I did that in the the late 70s, just before we got married in 79. So along with that, why I felt the necessity to do that, because we were doing that at that time, and now relating to African culture, going back. Remember, if anybody grew up in the 60s or the late 50s, we were into whatever was offered us from these regular stores, like the Learner Shop. I don't know if anybody remembers the Learner Shop or Sears Roebuck or what have you. That is what we were offered. And I'm glad I began to try to think outside the box as we begin to relate to African culture. And I feel like I came from the first generation to do so, or maybe the second generation, because Nina Simone was one of my, inspirations. Abby Lincoln, and Abby had an African name. And of course, Nina and her music was very much a part of my consciousness. Again, where we end up at is we are who we are, and if we want to embrace ourselves in a cultural manner, we begin to do so. So I wasn't by myself. I had a whole group of people that would float along with this mindset that we accept who we are, we live who we are, and we embrace our culture.
Along with your consciousness of naming, did you also find it of interest to look at other aspects of African history in order to implement or to change the way people perceive their clothing?
You had to study. So, I studied African art, I studied African American history, I studied. So it wasn't just something if you looked in our library in the hallway, you would see over 100 books just about us. That's all I was ever interested in. Remember, I came up and so the Yaziki in a time where, whatever was given in a textbook was the truth, whatever was written in a Eurocentric book was the truth in the way we went. So my work was very radical and very different in terms of relating to that. And I wasn't by myself. In Baltimore, we had like the Timbuktu Educational Center. That place where people who, again, taught the community to embrace our history, our art, and our culture. And that's when my first sewing class, where I taught sewing at the Timbuktu Educational Center. We had the Soul School, which is, again, another institution. Here in DC, we have a very phenomenal school called Ujamaa, which is the oldest Afrocentric school in the country. They are on their 56th year of just teaching young people, because we understand you can't always get somebody when they're grown to show them. You have to bring children along. So that school has been in reality for over about 56 years, and hundreds of students have been through there, where they're taught to embrace their culture and learn from a cultural perspective.
As you were going through all of this training and this knowledge gathering, did you find something that automatically hooked you, or you got an aha moment every so often that made you want to go, and you take a deep breath and then you go, I want to translate that feeling into the clothing that I'm creating.
Absolutely, because I found out we were the beginning. I mean, let's start with the so-called, I call it Kemet or Kemet, but the name is Egypt. And those various dynasties were black dynasties. Again, how they turned things around and made you think that that was not Africa, or Egypt is not in Africa, So that was the first, begin to look at the beauty that was created from that culture. Then you look at the Moors of Spain. The Moors is another great dynasty of black people that really jump-started brought civilization to Europe while they were living in more or less, I don't know how they were doing, but when the Moors came, they brought mathematics, science, spirituality. They brought so much to that culture. And now you're dealing with the erasures of what black people have done here, as well as worldwide. So again, it's always an act of resistance for me. And I take that on with great pride and strength. I'll do that with my last breath. Resist what's being done.
This resisting that you found yourself involved in, and the way that you are educating others around you about the resistance and about the knowledge that they should be aware of.
Exactly.
How did you funnel that information into your sculptural pieces of your head wraps, your hair dress, and all of that? And let me show you all a picture of one of the phenomenal pieces that she is known for. Can you tell us about this?
Well, this piece is a feathered headpiece, which is created with the inspiration from Africa, but also the Native American culture here. So again, how we started various cultures. The jewelry I created, which is like 5 rows of beads and various patchwork on the garment, more or less bringing color. And what she represents, that pieces, and she's called the Queen of Spades. That's what I call the whole piece. Remember, some terms were used as derogatory terms when they call you black as the ace of spade. You have anybody ever heard that one? Well, she's embracing the spade concept. She's the Queen of Spades. So again, embracing who we are. I love being a black person, and a black person in this country, a black person that can travel the world. And I'm so honored to have taken my work to, Brazil. I've done 2 shows in Bahia, Brazil. I've done 2 shows in Havana, Cuba. I've done a show in London, England, and as well as around here. But all of them are based from African inspiration and African culture, and reinterpreted to the culture to now, so it's not trying to do something specifically created from Africa, but to take it to another level, which, if you heard the term Afrofuturism, beginning to see ourselves in the future as well. So that's where that we come along with.
Welcome to the Lady Nighthawk Show, where we talk about interesting topics. And tonight I have my co-host guest with me, and you know him, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Oh, good evening. My name is Donald Bell. I am happy to be back here with you this evening. And, I'm an attorney. I'm here in Maryland, specifically here in Prince George's County. I have an office in Greenbelt. I've been in Greenbelt for the last 15 years. I've been here in Prince George's County for the last almost 21 years. This year makes 21 years. This month makes 21 years. And again, I'm very happy to be here. And thank you for inviting me back.
And I mean, it's always good because at least you know what's going on in the courts.
Yeah.
And you can keep me on track sometimes, you know. So I'm always a pleasure. And my viewers are very happy when you come as well because they know that they can get some vital information that's out there and it's from a reputable legal source. And I want you to tell them, it's in the credits, but if you could just tell them so that they can have your office phone number and your address.
Yeah, so I'm in Greenbelt, so I'm on Ivy Lane, 6305 Ivy Lane, Suite 315 in Greenbelt, right off of the Beltway, right off of Kenilworth Avenue. So I'm right there, right across the street from the federal courthouse. So again, I've been there for about 15 years. Again, I'm happy to help anyone out that needs my help. You can call my office 301-614-0535, and I'll be happy to talk to you. One of my staff members will be happy to get your information so we can talk about your issues as it relates to your financial well-being and whatnot, which is one of the reasons why I'm here this evening. So.
Yeah, and right now it's kind of hard because you got all those people that got laid off in the federal government and laid off in private industry as well. And one thing that, like I told you with TV channels I watch, and I also watched Bloomberg. Whoever would have thought that I would have been watching the
I listen to Bloomberg every day.
Yeah, I'm talking about me, you know.
I don't watch TV a lot, but you know, I'm in the car a lot, traveling back and forth to court.
Yeah.
So I listen to Bloomberg every day. So I find it very interesting.
Yeah,
the information that they provide and whatnot.
So far as the stocks and things are concerned.
Well, not only that, but they just provide like a lot of information, and they give it to you from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's from a financial perspective.
Yes.
You know, so I enjoy listening to Bloomberg.
Yeah, and I enjoy watching it because it is from a financial perspective. And
but I think what you're watching is the same thing I'm listening to on the radio because they said that you know they're on TV as well. So.
Yeah, they're on there at nighttime. Once again, they're a nighttime show and early morning.
Yeah.
They're on. But I've learned a lot about stocks. You know, listening to them in the financial business world that we live in, which we all did not. Depending on where you were and and what you were interested in doing in life, you were not taught how to get stocks. And I know that when I worked in a doctor's office, my doctor that I worked with, I was an office manager years ago. He told us then that we needed to invest in penny stock.
Okay.
And that was the best advice that he could have ever given us. But you didn't know what penny stock was, you know. But he did encourage us to, at a very young age, to get the penny stocks because those are the cheapest ones that we could get, and they're utilities, and they probably are the safest ones that you can get. But I mean, you're still young, you know. So you're telling me to do this. Are you going to send me somewhere? You know, you didn't even know the questions to ask. You know what I mean? Now you get older, you wish you had paid attention. And invested in some of those things because usually where you work, one thing that they also told us too is that to make sure that we always, if a company is offering you to take out money for your wherever they have, you know,
401k or something,
you know, whatever, to make sure that you take part of that investment. They say even if you do 1% is better than nothing at all, you know. But
I offer a 401k to my employees as an incentive. When you have good people working for you, you want to try to keep them, and you want to be competitive. But you know, I offer a 401k, and I offer, you know, to contribute a percentage to their 401k, and then I match a percentage of their 401k. But you know, in terms of investment advice, if you're just starting out, I think somebody that you can really go and follow is like Warren Buffett, because he always gives very down to earth, very simple advice. Like one of the things that he would always say, you know, I follow and I've read a lot of what he talks about. He always talks about not investing in anything that you don't understand.
Right.
So if it's so complicated that you can't sit down and you can't talk about it and, you know, and just plain English in terms of what this company is doing, don't invest in it. You know, like let's just say Coca-Cola. You know what Coca-Cola is. You know what they sell. You know, if you want to invest in something like that, or Pepsi, or something, I mean, that's fine. You know, but if a company is doing something so complicated and so out of the norm that you can't understand it, maybe, I mean, when you're starting out,
right,
don't mess with that.
Right, and that's actually too, that's why they told us the penny stocks, because you know utilities, you watch those, you pay every day.
Yeah. But you can understand what a utility company does.
Yeah.
Now, when they're doing, when they start doing like things that you don't understand what's going on,
then time to get some advice.
Yeah, or maybe stay away from that until you know exactly what's going on with something like that.
Oh, okay.
But I think from when it comes to financial well-being, you always got to sort of have a plan. And we've talked about this before. You've talked about like this before. So I think the first thing that you got to do is you got to have a budget. Okay.